Hi, everyone. Welcome to Baby Got Books, the podcast where we like big books and we cannot lie. I'm Eni, and joining me today are Crystal.
Jasmine.
Crystal. We're recording remotely, and just in case you can't tell, we are being so brave and overcoming every technical difficulty. But more important than all of that is that we're being joined by a very special guest, an icon, an author, and a social media creator. You wouldn't know about this if you lived under a rock, but I think you would know about her if you didn't. And it's Beth Reekles. If you wanted to say hello.
Hello, thanks for having me. And I'm really mad that I have a tote bag that says I like big books and I cannot lie. I didn't think to hang it up in my background anywhere.
Oh, that would have been so fun.
Perfect tote bag.
That's the kind of tote bag that we need in our lives. So I feel we're really on the same page. As a fun little intro, I'll just quickly go over some key bits and bobs. First and foremost, everyone and their mum knows about your iconic series, The Kissing Booth, but not everyone and their mum knows about the real roots of publishing things on Wattpad.com. Even less people and even less mums know that fan fiction is really all about community, but mostly it's about creative writing. And that's where you got your start. And we'll have a little sprinkle of conversation about that later on. But before we get into the serious business questions, my real cue for you is, what's been making you happy lately?
Crochet project.
Yes.
I literally just finished this weekend for other people. So my mum asked me for this giant blanket, which kept me busy like the whole of January. And Christmas time, I made my boyfriend a jumper, and my friend saw me working on it and said, "That's really cute. Can you make me a vest?" And I was like, "Sure." If I made it, I guess it's the same principle but without the sleeves. So I figured out how to make a V-neck vest, and that's been making me happy lately.
I do have to say, I have been following your crochet projects online.
Very exciting and very delightful. Crystal's a bit into crochet, are you not?
I'm trying to get into it slowly. One project I didn't pick up, but I picked it back up again recently, so I'll be like a big crochet next time you see me.
I'll hold you to it.
And that will be very soon. So
one day, guys. Just you.
Just to also preface the rest of the episode, as much as we could talk about The Kissing Booth, we're also going to be talking about some of your more recent romance novels. The one I've read most recently is Do You Ship It? And coming out very soon is For Real This Time, which is the next book in that exciting and delightful universe. So
I'm very excited to talk about that. I like both of them because they're just they're books for weird kids and nerds, and that's exactly what I am. So
that is one thing I did notice. It's such a love letter to like fan fiction and like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if it's called Dungeons and Dragons. Is it Dungeons and Dragons?
It's like a knockoff Dungeons and Dragons.
A wrap.
Wrath and Ruin.
I love it.
That's the one.
Yes. And honestly, really cool. I feel as though I just really, really enjoyed having the familiarity of like, we all know about a little Dungeons and Dragons. Or, well, I say we all. Some of us nerds know a lot about Dungeons and Dragons. And it's just a very cute time to kind of see like, here are people in school who are navigating that and finding it hard to experience authenticity. And I really, really liked that journey.
Yeah.
But again, before we dive into the books, I'm going to ask a little bit more about your writing journey. And I know we've already touched a little bit on the Wattpad of it all, but how did you first become a writer? And also, how did you turn that passion into getting published?
So I was the weird kid at school, but I was always the kid in primary who, you'd have English lessons and you'd have a creative writing task, and I'd want to like sit through my break time to carry on writing it, or I'd like be taking it home and be like, no, I didn't have time to do that properly. I can do that better. So it was just something that I liked doing, and I was like a voracious reader. I always had a book in my hand. I remember my hairdresser said that when I was like really little, I don't think they got 2 words out of me at a time because I was just like with my nose in a book constantly. And then when I started big school, comprehensive. My parents gave me an old laptop to do schoolwork on, and I was like, freedom to write. So I just like started writing loads and loads on there, like in private. I was just keeping it all very secret because I was like, that's a weird hobby to have. Like none of my friends, no one at school I really knew was into it. And I then discovered Wattpad when I was 15. And I'm just like, I was reading books on there. I had like an account on there and everything. And I realized that it's just this platform that was full of other teenagers from around the world who were also writing books and posting them, and people were enjoying reading them. And I was like, oh, I could do that. Like, I have books that I've written. People might like those. And I just started posting on Wattpad, and yeah, then it really took off with the Kissing Booth.
Honestly, really, really delightful. And I definitely remember going on to Wattpad and being like, people are just writing for free and just like pull things out of their brain entirely free. That was very delightful to me.
So many free books. Especially like growing up when you didn't have money to always be going to like buy a book.
Yeah.
Wattpad was always there for us.
Yeah, I was always told off like every Christmas because my Christmas list would always just be like masses of books. My parents would be like, "Your room is full of books. You're not getting rid of books. This is so many books. You don't need this many books, Beth." And I was like, "Okay, well, at least I have Wattpad."
Exactly. So I'm kind of wondering, once you kind of like had already gotten a book together on Wattpad, what was the journey into like getting it formally published and like picked up?
So when the Kissing Booth started becoming quite popular, because I remember there was one point where I used to post in the evenings, and because I knew it was a very American heavy audience. So I thought, okay, well, if I post in the evening, I've got like the UK still online going to bed, but US coming home from school, logging onto Wattpad to read. So I was being like weirdly data focused about it, and I would then like wake up before school and just like check my laptop quickly and see how the chapter had done overnight. And I posted this one chapter with a bit of a cliffhanger, and the next morning I woke up to like hundreds of emails and comments on the story, and I was like, oh, this is more than I can read like before school. I guess people really like the book though, so maybe I'm like a writer. So I started looking into how to get published, and the traditional route for publishing is that you would send out query letters to a literary agent, and then if they like you and your book, then they will take you on and they will represent you and send your book out on submission to publishing houses to get it published. And that is not at all how it worked for me. I did everything very backwards. And so the Kissing Booth had been online for probably about 18 months. And I started posting when I was 15, 16, and then I was 17. I had just sent off my UCAS applications for university, and literally like a week later, I'm just after school clicking through some of the Wattpad messages, having a look at what people had said, and I couldn't get to all of them, but I like to try and read through as many as I could. And I happened to open one that said, "Hi, I'm an editor from Random House. We'd like to publish your book, The Kissing Booth." And I obviously like freak out, and I like tear the laptop charger out, and I was so surreal. I just like ran into my parents and they want to publish my book. My parents like, okay, sit down, let's make sure that this is legit. Like, let's look this lady up on LinkedIn. And then like wrote an email to her together and set up a call. And me and my dad had a call with this editor and like some of her team the next week. And then it was October half term. So they were like, yeah, do you want to come in and we'll give you a book deal? So I was like, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Not on next week.
That is
good. Fun hot activities.
Dadager. He kind of stepped in and like he was sort of looking at the force majeure contract clauses and stuff like that. We didn't know anything about literary contracts, but he kind of knew contracts at least, so that felt like I had a bit of support and everything. And I was under the impression, as a naive new to publishing 17-year-old, that a literary agent is just a middleman who takes your money and then gets you the publishing deal. And I've already got the publishing deal, so why do I need them? I really should, like, they're really helpful. So after, because I was offered then a 3-book contract and also like just piles of books at that first meeting, and I was like, "There's 3 books. Where do I sign? Would you like my soul while we're here? Like,
No questions.
it's all good." And
Mhm.
yeah, after the 3-book contract completed, I went out and sought representation from a literary agent. So I kind of did everything very backwards. Because also I was just sort of emailing a couple of agents that had been recommended to me and saying, "Oh hi, I think you might have come across my book because it was kind of popular in the industry recently. Would you like more of that?"
Want to be my agent? Honestly, kind of delightful. I think it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, really cool to just hear that sometimes a pure passion project can be lifted up before you even know that you wanted to lift it. And
Yeah.
it's very, very cool. Kind of got like discovered
Yeah.
in a very organic way. And I guess
Honestly, I feel like you lived like every writer kid's dream. Like, you know, every kid that writes
Yeah.
like, oh, someone's gonna find it, and then I'm gonna get a book deal.
Yeah.
And that's like literally exactly what happened to you.
Yeah, it's really weird looking back because I don't think
Mhm.
I fully understood like the scale and the impact that was going to have on like me, my career, my writing, the whole thing. I was always like growing up, I liked writing, so I kind of thought, oh, it'd be nice to be an author, but in that way of thinking like, oh, when I'm like really old and ancient and like 40, I will look at getting published because I thought you had to be like, you know, a full grown adult to get published. And you
Yeah.
don't. And that was a fun discovery. And then yeah, I got my book deal, went to uni. I did a physics degree, so it was a bit different. And then I worked in finance and tech. So
Two completely
A
different
wild journey.
worlds.
yeah.
Physics, finance,
And
and
now I'm
tech.
a full-time author, so that's nice. But
Yeah.
Anytime anyone mentions physics, I feel mildly jump scared because of my own A-level physics nightmares. So you're braver than me. Truly, wow. I think that's so cool. And I'm like, did you ever have a minute where you were like, oh my God, I've done it? And was it like you've published a book, or was it when you got adapted into a film, into a whole film saga? Like, where was the biggest?
Mm.
I've done it.
I,
Like,
I mean, there were a lot of them. Obviously, like you know, when you see your book in a bookshop for the first time,
yeah.
or like you get the first printed copies of it and stuff like that. Like those were all those moments for me, but also like the one that always stands out is I ended up doing a book event in Brazil.
Oh,
The Kissing Booth was like
oh,
wildly popular in Brazil.
really?
So after the films came out, I was invited to the Bienal do Livro, which is just this massive book event over a weekend or over a week. And I literally took like 2 days off work and flew out for the weekend to Sao Paulo and then the year after to Rio. I went into the office like on a Tuesday morning and someone walked past my desk and they're like, "Oh, you had a long weekend off. Did you go back to Wales and see your parents?" And I was like, "No, I've been to Brazil." They had a laugh and they got their coffee and they came back and they're like, "So where'd you go? Were you back with your parents?" I was like, "No, I've been in Sao Paulo for 2 days."
Like weekend trip.
But,
Yeah.
Your usual long
but
weekend in
because it was
Brazil.
yeah, just casual hop,
Right,
skip and a jump.
Very normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I was in Brazil, like
Mm.
the first time I went, I remember the organisers and my publishers kind of said to me, "Oh, do you want to go in and see it?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to see this giant arena of books." And
Yeah.
then they turned around and said, "Oh, actually, no, we can't take you in. Sorry, your bodyguards aren't here."
Oh,
And I'm like, "Oh,
mhm.
bodyguards?" And they said, "No, it's not because it's dangerous. It's just because you're very popular and the Kissing Booth is very popular and you're going to get mobbed by fans." And I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
I mean, like, that's not
Wow.
going to happen." But I appreciate your confidence. But I had to literally enter this event surrounded by like an entourage.
Oh
I
my
was like boxed
gosh.
in by people, like a wall of people. And I remember, like, as soon as we
Oh my
got in,
God.
there was this guy who just kind of clocked us, and he like caught my eye through like 2 pairs of shoulders, and he went, "Beth Reekles," and he kind of came over, and someone went like, "No," and like pushed him away, hand out. And
Oh, wow.
I ended up like they sat me in between the signings because I think there was something like 3,000 people I signed for. Um,
Oh my
I think there
gosh.
was something like that, and in
That's insane.
between like
This is
the press
wild.
interviews that I was doing with the signings and stuff, I was basically sat in this glass box room, and like it was like being a zoo. I think
Safety?
it was just like all of the rooms were like these pop-up transparent ones. But while I was in there, people would just walk past and they'd be like looking at me and pointing and waving and taking photos. And I was like, hi, yeah, I'm your zoo animal of the day, I guess. Like, this is great. But I rang my yeah.
Just like that,
I
you're
rang
famous.
I rang my parents and stuff when I got back to the hotel room. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, so I can go in because I had to have bodyguards, and they're like, oh yeah, like you're in Notting Hill or something, Julia Roberts. I was like, yeah, no, I legit needed bodyguards
And
apparently.
literally.
I love that your whole arc of this whole trip was that you kept telling everyone your very real stories, and everyone kept being like, "Okay, Beth."
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
that's the thing. It was so wildly out of the norm, unbelievable. Not what like
Yeah.
anyone would expect for,
Deeply
I guess, for
surreal.
yourself, but also just when you think glamorous author lifestyle, kind of thinking like a Waterstones book launch, a
Yeah.
poster on the tube.
Yeah.
That's, you know, my kind of all the
Yeah.
bucket list. But
But wow,
yeah, bodyguards in Brazil.
the
Yeah.
possibility of getting mobbed in Brazil.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then back
Yeah.
to work.
your bucket list item unlocked.
That's pretty serious business. I feel like that's like a real celebrity question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unanticipated. Very exciting. But speaking of celebrities, I would like to get into Do You Ship It? I feel like that wasn't
Okay.
actually a valid segue.
I feel like
I was
really
gonna
need
be Jake the Lord
for real
Lady,
this
that's all.
time segues very well.
Yes.
Yeah,
He is.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But yeah, the first thing that I was thinking about as I was reading the book, and the first like question I had in mind was like, it felt quite funny to see Sarah's like the main character being like, can't believe someone would sit down and write fan fiction for free in their room. Who would do that? And I was like, dramatic irony here.
Yeah. Just calling myself out. It's fine.
Yeah. And there was this real undertone of her being like, couldn't possibly invest my time in creativity for creativity's sake.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that? Because I feel like you invested that time and you did it well before it was the super lucrative thing. Did you ever like feel like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be investing my time and energy into this?
Not really, but I guess that's just a natural side effect of starting to write a book in the midst of my GCSEs and just thinking, wow, it's fine, I got time. Fine, I can do this.
Cities.
Who needs sleep? But I purposely wrote Keris from like the other point of view to how I came to fandom, because I just like being a fangirl, and like I was deep in Super Whoolock era Tumblr back in like 2010. And
Classic.
yeah, it was just such a good place to be on the internet at that time. But I have always kind of had those questions from people of, I don't get it, like, why are you wasting your time? It doesn't make sense. It's so boring. It's so weird. It was always like just the weird thing that got people, and they couldn't understand it and get their head around it. And
Yeah.
often in quite a judgmental way, when it's just something that you just find joy in. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not hurting anyone. And there's like community aspect of fandom as well, and the creativity that comes along with it, and just finding characters that, you know, you see yourself in, you relate to, you can process your own feelings and thoughts through, or they just bring you joy. So I purposely wanted to approach fandom from that other side of that judgmental lens of just thinking it's weird and I don't get it, and falling into it anyway and realizing what a joy it can be.
I think I really like that. Like, I don't think you do see that so often, because I feel like a lot of people kind of say, I'm into it, hee hee ha ha's, and a lot of people are like, I'm not into it, I'm not getting into it. And so
Yeah.
I have a character that's like choosing to cross the line. I was like, this is fun. Internal conflict. She was really on a journey.
On the topic of fanfic, there was a moment in For Real This Time, which I guess for our audience, so Do You Ship It and For Real This Time, same universe, exploring two different characters who are in the same friend group. So with For Real This Time, there was a moment that as a writer, and I didn't come from fanfic, but I feel like it just related to writers in general, made like sent chills down my spine, where her love interest comes up to her and the first thing he says is, "I read your fanfic," and I was like, oh, I felt like a visceral reaction. Like I was like, oh no.
My heart drops out of my body.
I wrote that to be evil. I was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Oh, that's
I
the worst
think out
thing
of everything, that got to be the most. I was like, that's the worst possible thing that could ever happen to a person.
Yeah. Like, I refuse to give my fanfic handle out to anyone. I'm like, you'll never find me. And if you do, you're not going to find the fanfics that I don't want found.
Reasonable.
Love that. But I just loved how authentically you kind of captured like the journey of like being a writer, being in fanfic communities, and just how grounded it all felt, while at the same time being like this lovely like love letter.
Thank you. My favourite bit about including the fanfics was that I got to finally use the phrase "fingers carding through the hair" during a kiss. Because I had put that in every single one of my books, and every time my editors are like, "That's not a thing." I'm like, "Well, it is. It is." And I'm like, "No, it's not."
If you've been in town,
it's not, and it gets taken out, and I'm like, "Fine, whatever." And like I told my editor up front, I was like, "This is a fanfic thing. We always take it out. I'm gonna have it in this time." And she like highlighted it in the first draft and was like, "Yay! Thank you, thank you. We got there in the end."
You made it. Honestly, kind of love that. And I do genuinely like love that fan fiction is such a big element of it. I kind of feel like, even though I've had a lot of friends that I like share fandom with, not that many people really do talk about fan fiction to each other. I think a lot of people find it like quite oh, this is personal. And I think it's nice to actually be like, no, we're in a community and this is a safe space to share and to get into it. I'm wondering, I don't know, did you ever kind of feel that feeling of like, oh, I really like this thing, but I don't know if this is the line where I like it too much, or you always have the people?
Oh yeah, like constantly. I mean, I had one friend when I was in primary school, and she went to a different comp than I did. We're still friends now. Like, we stayed friends through school, but we used to film like little parodies of like Doctor Who and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. And we were like really nerdy about stuff together, and we'd sit there and we'd like discuss the week's episode of Merlin, and we'd be like, "Yeah, you fancy Bradley James, but that's okay because I fancy Colin Morgan." So no fighting. Like, you know, we've got each other's back. It's
Very valid.
as if that, like, as if at 12 years old that was ever going to manifest.
Just in case.
But like, we were so comfortably like weird with each other. It was great, and I didn't have that in my friendship group at school at all. Like, I was just very quiet, shy, reserved, because no one was ever interested in what I was talking about. And then I ended up, around the time I was posting the kissing booth online, I had some, like, another friend in a different class at my school. Like, we had art together. There was no one else in that class that I knew really, and we ended up sort of talking, and we realized, I can't even remember how it came up, but there was something I remember, like, we sort of locked eyes, and you're like, "Oh, you're the same kind of weird I am. Great." like, you know, then we sort of like swapping Tumblr accounts and just like being weird together. And then I sort of found this new friend group sort of through here. And I ended up walking away from the original friend group because I was like, you have no interest in anything I like. You don't talk to me. I don't think you like me. That's okay. I like the things I like, and I'm gonna go hang out with people who don't mind that.
I honestly love that. And I feel like it is that feeling when you're like growing up where you're like, are these my friends, or are they just in my vicinity?
Yeah.
And like finding the people you connect with and have those things in common with is such a like, it's just like game changer where you're like, oh, I can like speak to these people and they want to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, I honestly think if I didn't have like fandom, then I wouldn't have ended up having that kind of confidence and those friends and stuff like that. I would have ended up staying very reserved and shy and quiet and feeling weirdly ashamed of liking stuff and
like,
you know, writing as well.
Honestly, very real. I really like that because I think it's something that I was really enjoying when I was reading Do You Ship It? And I was like, oh my God, Anissa. And she's like,
Yeah.
she is that quiet girl and she doesn't really have those friends or that community. And as much as I liked her becoming like friends with Karis, the fact that she got to find the bigger like fandom community and she was like,
Yeah.
didn't even know this existed because she's like got into this Discord chat. I was like, this is so nice. And this is such a niche question, but I'm like, did you have online friends and were you kind of like fully in the Tumblr friends era, meeting up with strangers? Is that kind of like real for you or is it less of that?
Yes and no. So like I had like there was mutuals I had on Tumblr. I don't think we ever really knew each other's names. We just like it's one of those things where you see each other's posts and you're like, yeah, you're my friend. Repost, add funny comment. Like goes back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
I never actually like met up with anyone except for book people that I met online, but that's only because it was that was happening at the same time that I was online, because it was like 2011, 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And that's like when book Twitter was really taking off. It felt like in sort of 2013. Yeah, it was kind of a bit different when I said, oh, I'm meeting up with this friend I have online because they're another author.
Yeah. Like,
but then I
think that people can go, oh, that makes sense. No further questions.
So I actually ended up with a group of friends in the last few years from America who were all online friends. And then the first time I flew out to meet them was for one of their weddings in Miami a couple of years ago.
Oh,
lovely. And me and one of the other girls, like we were the two single girls, and said, oh, we'll just like fly out 2 days early, get a hotel in Miami and just like sit by a pool with books and cocktails and it'll be really cute. And it ended up one of those like compact hotel rooms where the bathroom is sort of transparent and you've got like a shared bed that you've got to climb over each other if you want to get out to pee in the middle of the night. And we were like, it's good to meet you.
Guess we're locked in now.
Yeah, we're friends. Too late.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, but I met them because of like online fandom, because of like there was a YouTube account with a lot of fandom theories and stuff that I was involved with and they were involved with, or I engaged with and they were involved with. And then I remember one of the guys messaged me and he said, hey, my friend has this podcast. It's called That's What I'm Talking About. You like Lord of the Rings, right? And I was like, yeah, I do. I'll be on your friend's podcast. And then suddenly I'd accumulated like 8 friends who cared about like Lord of the Rings and Marvel movies and the Hunger Games and Percy Jackson and musical theatre and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah,
love this.
People.
There's truly just all of the best interests. Really love that. This is so another thing that I was like reading the book and every time there was like a shout out something I knew, I was like, yeah, I was like to all the boys I loved before. And then I started being like, Les Mis? Les Mis get in here. Probably like the full
I'm not gonna lie, Eni, this was very you coded.
Just a bit.
Every single one of my interests was in there. I was like, scene. Love this.
There's a moment in Do Ship It because Karis is like really into rom-coms, so she keeps trying to reference what her favourite rom-com heroines would do or the plot lines. And there was a point where I'd like referenced 3 particular rom-com actresses. And I made a joke to my editor and I was like, I think using Joey King would be too meta. And she was like, do it. Do it. And I was like, I can't use the kissing booth because like that's weirdly braggy and gross and icky.
But also, rightfully so.
Honestly, I think it's a full circle moment. And it also kind of made it feel really like real. I was like, yeah, this was in that era of rom-coms and romances, like grounded. And again, quite a cute callback.
Thanks. I'm glad it went appreciated.
As much as we kind of know you like enjoy fandom and a lot of like the classic nerdy TM shows, Super Hulock, Greatest Hits. Are you also like a big romance movie enthusiast? I'm going to assume the answer is yes, but like, what was your kind of like balance between the two?
I don't know. I think it's just kind of all encompassing because it's just like, yeah, that's the thing I'm like, add it to list, add to basket, just keep collecting. I'm like a little magpie.
I do I want to shout out just really quickly because it does relate to this. Your like little snappy movie reviews that you do on Instagram stories. Because if you watch one of my favorite Christmas movies this Christmas, it was the one. What is it called?
Fun.
It's the one starring Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh,
What fun!
Oh, what fun!
Yes,
Ooh.
I saw you post a story about it. I was like, I've never heard of this, but it looks so fun. I had a great time. Rewatched it with my mum. Had a fantastic time.
Yeah.
So now I take your movie reviews on your stories so seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My sister always tells me that I rate them too highly. Like I give out too many 9 and 10s out of 10. I'm like, yeah, but I had a great time watching that movie.
Yes.
This is not like
Truly.
objectively whether it should win an Oscar. This is how good is this movie at being this movie. Like,
I think this is why I can follow your reviews, because like you rate things the same way I would rate things, because I'm like, it doesn't have to be like an award-winning movie to be one of the best movies I've ever seen. It just has to make me feel fun.
Honestly,
really?
I have not watched La La Land to this day because it won all those Oscars.
Literally.
And I'm like, well, it's probably going to be too artsy and like,
it's very artsy.
Too much of a movie, capital M for me.
It's so real.
I want something fun that, you know, like
have a hee hee ha ha time.
Chipmunks, Chipwrecked.
Yeah.
I thought it was a terrible movie, but Alvin and the Chipmunks Road Chip. Objectively, is that going to win any Oscars? No, but is it one of the most like emotionally devastating movies I've ever seen?
So now I need to watch it.
So real.
Like, I wouldn't recommend Road Chip. No, I wouldn't recommend Chipwrecked, but Road Chip, amazing.
Okay, good to know. Noted.
I'm not convinced, honestly. I know you're kind of like excited for this book to be coming out for real this time. I guess my question is, when you first wrote Do You Ship It, was your thought going in like Anissa's book next? And without spoiling it, did you kind of plan out her storyline, her romance from the very beginning?
So when I sold Do You Ship It, it was off the back of a chat with my editor about like what my next book was going to be. And she was like, you know what's selling right now, Beth? Sports romance. I was like, I know jack shit about sports. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast. I'm sorry. I know jack shit about sports.
Yes, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I do know a lot about fandom. And she's like, yes, absolutely. So I kind of went in knowing it was a 2-book contract. It was quite likely to be sort of a follow-on, not necessarily a guarantee. So I was hopeful when I was writing Do You Ship It that we could have a follow-on story with Anissa and tell more of her story, and also like that other side of fandom where Keris had been the judgmental person, very much on the outside of it. Anissa was the weird kid, the misfit, the hardcore fangirl that was like complete polar opposite to how Keris starts. And I kind of knew that I wanted her to interact with an actor, because the premise of For Real this time is that Anissa's love interest is Callum, who is the actor playing her comfort character. So not even just her favourite character, like her comfort character, the one that she always goes to and relies on, and is there for her. And obviously it's an enemies to lovers romance, so they, you know, don't exactly get on at the start, and that really like impacts the way she feels about fandom for a while as well. So I knew when I was working on Do You Ship It that I would like to go down that route, but when I start a book I have nothing but characters and vibes. So that like there wasn't a lot of groundwork for me to lay, if I'm honest.
In the same way, the characters write themselves. They'll tell you where they want to go.
Exactly. Like I'm currently pitching some more YA books, and my editor has asked for an outline, and I'm like, if I just write you the book, that will be easier. I don't know what to give you beyond like the 2-paragraph pitch that you received.
I had the same thing with my last book. I had to give an outline when we were like setting up, like kind of establishing my 2-book deal, and I got so stressed about it because I was like, but I just don't know, to the point where my agent had to talk me down and be like, it can change. It's fine. Just put something on a page. And I was like, okay, fine, we can do this.
But like trying to come up with what will happen before you know
Exactly.
how it will happen, or
You don't even know
or
the
who-
characters that
who-
well yet.
yeah.
Like, how you don't know what they're gonna want to do.
Yeah. They end up doing two different stories, and it's like, well, what was the point of the outline? Why
Yeah.
didn't you just take the book?
That's actually one of my other questions is like, do you ever find that there's like a kind of conflict between the impression, at least, that the literary world, the publishing world is quite like rigid, and the flex that you want to take and the approaches you want to get into? Or is it quite chill?
It's a bit of a mix of both, and I think it's just a case of when you are working with like a traditional publisher with editors, agents, it is a business dynamic, and like you could be friendly, and everyone in publishing is typically really friendly. I love when I get emails from like strangers in publishing. They're like, "Hey Beth, would you like this book? Love Jazz, kiss," and I'm like, "Hi Jazz, yes I would. Love Beth, kiss." But it's just like really friendly and nice vibes all the time. But it is a business relationship still, and I think kind of you just have to acknowledge that and say, hey, this timeline's not going to work for me, or no, the way that I need to work is to have a deadline, so let's agree on that deadline and like touch base, or figuring out like with different editors what their working style is and letting them know what yours is, and kind of where you might have to make compromises. So yeah, for me with my editors, it's very much like I'm not very good at outlines and plot synopses, but please trust me on the pitch and the sample chapters. And I know that the outline looks like a pile of shit, but that's because that's my weakest point. And like I remember one of my adult editors that I was working with, she actually had the edit letter for my second adult novel ready on publication day for the first one, but she didn't want to give it to me straight away because she was like, no, I know, like, we're out celebrating, we're doing something nice for this book, I don't want to bring the mood down. I know that some authors need like, you know, a week to emotionally recover from someone tearing their book apart. And I was like, no, that's what I'm waiting for, because I know that I handed you something that's imperfect and needs a lot of work. But with a first draft, I'm always focused on done is better than finished, and then we can work on it, we can figure out where the bits of the book that need most work are.
Yeah.
I've never, like, the only time I've really taken issue with something in an edit letter is like if like one of my editors came back about one of my books and said, oh, I'm not really getting the enemies to lovers vibe, and they wrote me like a page on that. I was like, well, yeah, because it's Grumpy Sunshine, so
not the goal,
and when we
actually.
had that conversation afterwards, she was like, oh, just ignore that whole section then. I thought we were going for enemies to lovers. I was wrong. That's fine. Keep it as it is. Ignore all those notes.
Honestly, sounds extremely real. And I guess it must be quite interesting to go from like, again, you're like putting your initial works out there, like fully edited by you.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get into this place where you like have a full team and it's a lot more collaborative. Do you feel like it's changed how you feel about writing, or are you kind of like, love it, commit to the passions?
It's only changed it in that, like, I still treat the first draft as this is me having fun with the story.
Yeah.
And then I get really intimidated when it comes to edits, and I find the editing process a lot of hard work, because I'm like, oh, this is like serious business now. This is not just for like shits and gigs. This is fun times over. We are at work. We have to turn out a good product instead of just like, la di da, here's the thing I wrote, put it online. Maybe someone will read it and like it. And then the biggest bit for me that I've had to get comfortable with, adjust to, and still am, is that it just goes out in the world, and the only people that have read it are like me, my agent, and a couple of editors. I'm like, well, what if no one likes it? What if like, and I know that people tell you not to read your reviews as an author, but I always end up going on NetGalley to read the early reviews. I really look at them once the book's published, but it's those early reviews. I need some reassurance from like an outside opinion that this book is okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, just to get a sense of like, okay, I don't want to know what every one of their mum thinks, but like a few people, a few takes. I think everybody wants that. This is, I think, pretty normal, pretty reasonable.
I remember one of my adult novels, Faking It. It was like a book about single life in your 20s. And very early on, there was a 2-star review on NetGalley, and it was like, hate the main character. She's so unlikable. She's so whiny. But she does remind me of a lot of my single friends. And I was like, right, so...
Well...
So you did the job.
My job is like that. In my opinion, that's a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Success.
I was like weirdly reassured by that 2-star review that I got.
I love that person telling on themselves and being like, I hate to hear my single friends being the way they are. Okay. Objectively, very funny.
I feel like we should talk about the kissing booth and having a film adaptation.
Yeah.
Less about the kissing booth, more about what it's like to have a film adaptation made, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
How much of the process were you part of?
So not tons of it actually, but I think that was partly because I was still like at school, at uni. I was working my first like real adult job as well.
That is wild.
So we sold the movie rights basically like immediately after the book was published to this small UK production company, and they went and got Vince Marcello on board, who was our scriptwriter and our director. So I got to give feedback on the script. I got to meet Vince. Like we had some calls and stuff early on. And I was like, he understands the characters. He completely gets like the vibe, the story. I knew that things would have to change for the movie. And I was like, that was cool. As long as like they still feel like the characters, that's the main thing. And Vince was great. And I was like, I can trust you with my babies. And then, I gave feedback on the scripts, and not a lot happened then over the next couple of years until I get a phone call saying, oh, we're doing it with Netflix. And I'm like, amazing. And then a phone call like, oh, like we've got our cast, we've got Joey King, we've got Molly Ringwald. I remember I set up an iPhone shortcut recently to like delete the photos on this day from like years past, so I can see on my camera roll a bit. And one of them about 2 days ago was this screenshot of a text I sent my mum, and it was a photo that Joey had posted on Instagram with Joel Courtney and Jacob Elordi. And I just texted this screenshot to my mum, and I was like, I guess I know who the leading men are. Like,
spoilers.
Wow, look at that, guys. That must be Leah and Noah. And that was like really funny to think back to. And I wasn't really involved with any of it because I was, like I said, at uni and stuff, and I didn't know how to make a film.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys know what you're doing. Tap me in when something's going on, I guess, and when I can be part of it. And I was working at like a big financial audit company straight out of uni, which was not for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. I picked it because they offered me a job. And we started filming in, must have been 2017. And they filmed in Cape Town because apparently it's cheaper to film there, but it looks like LA.
Oh.
So they said, hey, we can
like how they do all the like New York stuff in Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. So they rang me up and they were like, do you want to come to Cape Town for a bit to see some of the filming? I'm like, yeah, let me go talk to my boss and get some time off. Like, I've got all this leave that I'd be holding on to waiting for this. And they're like, well, it's busy season and no one's really allowed time off except for, big life events like a wedding. And I'm like, well, they are
big life event.
It's a big life event.
I feel like this is a pretty big life event.
Yeah.
But being made into a film.
Yeah, they did very generously give me 5 days off.
Oh, how kind of them.
Oh,
yeah. So me and my dad flew out to Cape Town for for a week, and we went sightseeing in the daytime, and then I was on like night shoots just watching it, and it was just so magical. And I got to like meet all the cast and everything, and I had a cameo as well. That was a lot of fun.
Wait, I literally rewatched these recently. Where do you feature?
So the costume party at the end of the first one.
Yeah,
they're like, everyone's gathered around singing happy birthday to Ellen Lee, and in that scene I'm like sort of central in a yellow 1920s flapper dress with a blue feather boa, but they gave me a wig that was all done at 1920s style, and it's the same color hair as I've got but no fringe. Which is an important note because I've always had a fringe. And I sent a selfie to my mother back home and got a message back, she's pretty, who's that?
Oh,
And I was like, well, if my own mother didn't recognise me, I'm not sure how much of a cameo this is going to be for people. And I actually got tagged in a reel, I think it was a Brazilian reel actually, like last week. And it was someone talking about author cameos in movies. And they'd said, oh, I think Beth Reekles is in the kissing booth. I think this is her. And it was like a ginger girl with glasses. And I was like, well, they do look like my shaped glasses, and she has got the same length hair as I do currently, but
close. Yeah,
not me.
people have just never seen that.
I'm going to go back and find that cameo.
Same, yeah.
I did technically, because when we filmed the second and third, we filmed those back to back. And that was a bit of a whirlwind process with it. Because I had the second book manuscript, but we were kind of waiting on Netflix to greenlight the second one before we sold the second book to like use that as leverage a little bit, I guess. But like Vince and Netflix and everyone had the second book manuscript to be able to work from, and then they actually ended up writing the third one inspired by my novella The Beach House, which was like a little Wattpad bonus story essentially, that then we had to get the novelization rights for, so I could write the book of the film based on the films based on my books.
That's such an interesting process. I had just assumed like that you had like written a trilogy and then they like you got to the point where they adapted a trilogy. That's so interesting.
It was because they had to film both of them so quickly back to back, because like obviously the actors were going to be going on to other projects, they would be aging out of the characters and stuff like that. But because they filmed 2 and 3 back to back, I gave feedback on the script again and everything, and I'd had some really good conversations with Vince, and then went out. This time I had a bit more leave to use, so I went for like 10 days. So I was at a different company, and they were just like, yeah, oh my god, send us pictures.
The right response.
That was the right response.
So my dad didn't fly out that time, but I just got to hang out with the cast a lot and see everything being filmed, and it's so magical and surreal just to see it come to life and like recognize these characters that had lived in my head for so long just like existing in the real world.
Do you have a favorite scene that came to life in the movie?
I mean there's like so much of it, but the one that sticks in my head is not even like a huge scene, but it's when it's in the first movie, and I can't remember the exact conversation they're having, but both families are out together at a restaurant, and Noah is sat there in his leather jacket, and he's got like a toothpick in his mouth, and he's just kind of smirking at Elle. And I remember when they filmed that, and like I've been having a conversation with Jacob, and he's like just really like bubbly and chatty, and then he like switched to Noah Flynn with the smirk, and I'm like, oh my god, he's got the Noah smirk. It was like I was like, that smirk has lived in my head and now it exists, and what do you mean?
So cool.
Like this is my book, these are my characters. And on
that's so fun, you truly created something.
Like the first one when we were on set, there was like the big house party scene from the beginning where I was doing like all the different coloured shots and everything. And I remember I can remember posting that scene on Wattpad, and like some of the comments I would get from it. So that was a fun one to see come to life, like as a finished product. But when we were there on set, because it was such a huge undertaking, like, there was so many extras, so many cast and crew supporting it. And my dad just turned to me and he was like, all of these people, like there's hundreds of people here right now who are all here because you were a weird 15-year-old who just like shut yourself in your room and then go out and wrote a book. And I was like, yeah, go me.
Yeah, honestly, go you. I was going to ask something, and so you keep talking about like taking leave for these crazy opportunities. I know, like I have a fair few author friends now. I know so many people that like jumped out of their jobs as soon as they can, who like there's a lot of discussion about like being full-time, going full-time. And I know from like seeing you talk about it in the past, you stayed working for a very long time and before you took the leap to full-time author. Was that like an active trick? Because you had bestsellers, you had a Netflix film, like
honestly, I really liked my job. The only reason I left was mainly like the reason I left was sort of twofold. It was partly because I knew that I wanted to do more with the books, and I wanted that freedom to work full time as an author, but also it got to the point where like the section of the company I worked for was fine. It was making money. It was going to be absorbed by another company, but the rest of the company was shutting down and people being made redundant. So there wasn't like a lot of morale at the company at the time. And that was a process that had been taking a very long time. So like it kind of got a bit too stagnant for me. I wasn't enjoying working there. I used to be I was at the time I was an IT B2B service manager, which I did like. I really enjoyed it for a long time, but it had just got to a point where it wasn't challenging me. I wasn't feeling invested in it. And I had basically in my head prepared the business case of, okay, well, I've got a house, I've got a mortgage, I know what my emergency fund is, I know how much I've spent on the house, I know how much I'm going to pay myself, like, effectively, how much I'm going to put into my pension that I'm going to set up. So this is how much I need to make in a year to like sustain that, and how long I can sustain myself for. And I was going to say to myself, but I also had to say it to my whole family because they were a little bit concerned that maybe it was a rash, risky decision, which is fair enough, considering that, I'd just suck a load of money into a house and stuff and quit my job. Like, that I was going to do it for 18 months because at that point I'd be able to see how it was going, if I was still getting income, if I had the work, also if I had enough going on to keep me busy and to keep me I don't want to use the word entertained, but to keep me entertained, because
that's half the reason I want to work for as long as possible. I'm scared of like being bored.
I needed stuff going on. I was like, what if I've not got enough stuff to fill my days? I'm going to be so bored. Like, I'm going to have to go back to work just for something to do. And then I ended up, I published like 3 books in a year and then wrote 2 back to back and had more published. And
I was going to say, for real this time, what number book is that? Because you 17 in how many years?
It'll be 13 years since I got the publishing.
That is what.
That is
17 books in 13 years. Well, and how many of those years were you working full time or studying?
I left my job in 2021. So was that 20? I was working for 9 years.
I just think impressive. That is like a really impressive undertaking.
And the first year, the 2021, October 2021, I was officially full-time author. I'd worked my notice and everything, had my laptop back, and I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to take like a week off. I'm going to do nothing. I read the entire Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus series, and it was beautiful. I loved it. And I was like, oh, I'm so looking forward to having Christmas off, because every time I'd either be on break from uni or I was taking time off work, and I would have to use those days to do my book work.
Right.
Wait to just have Christmas break. And that year I ended up with like copy edits sent to me on like the 23rd of December, and they're like, can we get them back on the 4th of January? And here's some proofreads, and here's that, can we get that back in January? I was like, I hate everything. I think I probably had a little cry. Last December I'd said to my editor in advance, because it kept happening, like sometimes it was from my US publisher, deadlines coming up in December or for January. So I said to my editor, I don't mind if there's some bits and pieces to pick up in December, but I am not working in December, so let's make sure that the timeline for the For Real This Time edit do not clash with Christmas. And they didn't, and I just got to have like a really chill December, and it was so nice.
Because I feel like every author I knew, that's amazing. Because I feel like every author I knew was doing some form of edit over Christmas.
Yeah,
like everyone was doing some form. I think it's because like publishers were like, oh, this is perfect, I have Christmas off, so I'm just going to give everyone everything, and then I can come back to fresh work. So then that.
And like, I get it as well, because when I used to be in work, that was my prime time to not be at the day job, to be able to do everything else.
Yeah, but now
that kind of sucks. I just wanted to watch Home Alone,
We'll do the game. We'll do the Wii game. And it's fun if you like speed rounds.
Okay.
So it's called How Well Do You Know Your Main Character? And essentially, we're going to ask you a bunch of quick fire questions on your main character. And we'll do it on For Real this time. So we'll ask quick fire questions about Anissa to give people a flavour of whose book they can be getting at the end of this month.
Okay.
And stuff in her shoes.
I will do my best. No one judge me if I get them wrong. Because as soon as I finish a book, I'm like,
I've done this. We had Annabelle do it the other day. Yeah. It's
no pressure.
It's
it
not
is a competition.
Trivia. It's more like it's just random questions. Oh yeah, it is. We're scoring every author.
Okay.
Legally, there is a leaderboard, but like no pressure.
No, absolutely no pressure.
I'm locking in. I'm restoring those
and Annabelle is currently at the top of the leaderboard, so you got Annabelle to beat.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do this.
Turn up the launch party, like, just so you know.
Yeah. Reigning champion.
That'd be the best thing to bring.
We're not actually here to celebrate you today, Annabelle. We're here to celebrate me.
You've been dethroned.
Yes, you've got 90 seconds, and I'm going to assume Jazz is ready to time. So once she says go, I'll start asking.
Okay, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
What's her go-to coffee order?
Vanilla iced coffee, Americano, an iced Americano.
Nice. Does she prefer TV, books, podcasts, or films?
Books.
Nice. What's her go-to takeaway?
What do you think?
Chinese? Fair, reasonable. What's that special interest in a pub quiz?
Geography.
Oh. What's her go-to excuse to get out of something?
I was on my way and then I got lost.
A good one. Honestly, a good one. Would you thought the dress was blue and black or white and gold?
White and gold.
Do you remember? Which element out of earth, wind, air, and fire are they most drawn to?
Air.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Early riser or night owl?
Night owl.
Window seat or aisle seat?
Aisle seat.
Spotify playlists or albums all the way through?
Spotify playlist.
Shower in the morning or at night?
Night.
Would she actually answer a phone call?
That is the end. I'll let you answer this one more. Do this one more.
No.
Real.
She would watch that phone call, dial all the way out to voicemail.
Yeah.
Standing over the phone, staring at it, and then send them a text. Why did you phone?
Yeah, my favorite thing in the book was when her friends were like inviting them out, and then Karis was like, "Oh, she can't make it." And then one of the friends was like, "Oh, yeah, she's not gonna come. She never comes to Karis come." She's like,
Yeah. There were a few more scenes originally where, like in the first draft of For Real this time, where the girls are all going out, and she's like, "I'm not gonna go out," and then they show up outside, and she's like, "Why are you here?" And they're like, "Because we know that unless we're at the door, you're gonna bail." Because you don't think we want you around.
That's so
Karis has told us that we have to come and get you.
That's very cute.
That makes sense. You kind of have that with like the carpooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of sprinkled it back in, but there was quite a bit before where she's just like,
I love that.
What do you mean we're friends? I don't have friends. This is new.
Also,
for her.
I know we're kind of towards the end, but just on that topic, the just the girls group chat in general scenes were like so cracking me up because it did feel like being back in sixth form.
Yeah, literally.
Just like the way they talked between them, and then like the random sprinkles of messages being like, "Stop messaging me privately." This feels like a sixth form group chat.
I mean, I love a group chat. So, and I like it when books have those kind of like multimedia elements.
Yeah.
And since Do You Ship It and For Real this time have a lot of those, like the Discord chats, the fanfic.
Yeah.
I was like, they got to have a girl group chat.
Right.
It's got to be there. I love it.
I love this. But yes, for your results, in 90 seconds, you got 13 answers.
Respectable.
And that is pretty good. I believe Jazz can tell you where that puts you on the leaderboard.
I cannot tell you where it puts you, but I can tell you Annabelle did get 16,
Yeah.
which was considerably higher than everyone else. So though you haven't beaten her, you're gonna be up there.
I panicked on that takeaway thing because if I'm honest, I was like, did they order takeaway in the book?
Oh no, these are
I think they do.
hypotheticals mostly. It's just the fact you actually have a coffee order that I'm suddenly like, oh wait, this works.
I think that's what threw me, and I'm just like, I was like racking my brain for like, I must have written a takeaway scene, and then it's just what are
No, these were
takeaways?
hypotheticals. Yeah.
It's true.
I know what I
Feels
would
like
order, but
entrapment.
that wasn't what you were asking.
Ooh, what would you
So-
order?
Oh, I'm always a pizza person,
Oh,
Valid.
and you got to get sides.
yeah.
If you're doing it, you got to go the whole hog.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your go-to
Mm-mm.
pizza place?
So where I live is the options are Domino's or Pizza Hut.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So you
And
go.
that's kind of it. I go Domino's.
Okay, cool.
Very true.
Yeah, yeah.
Chicken
Can't remember
kickers.
that.
It was a loaded question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the chicken nippers with barbecue sauce.
Ooh, and their cookies.
The cookies, little
The
gooey
cookies are good.
I have to get the cookies.
Yeah,
I
Honestly,
rarely get the cookies, but they're like a nice little treat.
they are.
Yeah, they are good.
so random, but Domino's is up there with Subway in terms of place that does weirdly good cookies. Like
Yes, Subway does
Really
fantastic cookies.
True.
so good.
I remember when we went through a Subway cookies phase as a group chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Led by
Yeah.
you, Eni. But
These are the key content.
You're gonna just need to like collate a list of the key group throwback things, and you can just have like cats, Subway cookies, and you can have like a night full of them just to
The
celebrate.
list will be unhinged.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast.
that's what we should do. We threw a vaguely elaborate 10-year anniversary staycation for our group of friends. So for the
That's
15th,
amazing.
we'll just collate
Yes.
everything.
Group
We'll start with
lore.
cats. The last one was like we played traitors and learned the High School Musical dance, and the next one's going to be like cats.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the full thing. See
Yeah.
what the next one is.
We're all in this together. Dance like lives in my head.
Literally rent free.
Oh.
Yeah.
Truly
I'm
key
glad we
content.
all experienced this together. You literally are all in this together. I love that for it.
And we know where we
are.
stand.
Yes. Hand in hand.
And we see that.
Okay, now I'm gonna bravely bring us to the end of this podcast episode because legally we were meant to do a short and sweet record, and we had too many hee-hees and ha-has.
Oh yeah.
Technical
I had a great
difficulties.
time. That part, but mostly the hee-hees.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit you can cut.
A good 3 minutes in there, but yeah.
Everything I said, really, just in the bin.
Key bits. Those are the key flavors. It was all gems. But yes, thank you for joining us today. It's
Thank you
been
for having
very
me.
fun. Honestly, it's been such a good chat, and I feel like we will have to do this again sometime soon.
Anytime.
I'm sure you will have another book coming in like. Do you have other books
In
coming
half
out
a
this
year?
year?
No, just the one this year.
Oh,
Okay.
reasonable.
And then, doing next contract, and fingers crossed I will have
Ooh.
something.
I'm sure you
sometime
will.
next year, maybe.
Waiting for 2027.
Yeah.
Honestly, not that in my mind. But yeah, so For Real this time is coming out on the 26th of Feb.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And everyone needs to lock in and get it because
I think it will be
these
out by the
two
time this
books-
episode's out.
Perfect.
delicious,
find a copy.
excellent, iconic, and wonderful. And I would also recommend getting Do You Ship It because the context, the world building, there's nothing better than reading two books set in the same universe and being like, I get to see what happens next. It's a
I would
real
also recommend both, and I am not in the least bit biased.
No, not at all.
No, not even a little bit.
Completely unbiased third party.
Yeah.
But yes, so Beth, where can the people find you?
I'm on Instagram at author Beth Reekles, and I'm on TikTok at Beth Reekles. And I just post a lot of silly little memes and occasionally some movie reviews or my crochet projects.
Mhm. Ideal content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than For Real This Time, is there anything else that you wanted to plug?
Oh, like all of my other books. But I'll pick my most recent. Yeah, I'll pick my most recent adult one though, which is The Layover. So if you like kind of the Reddit drama threads and AITAs, it is all about three strangers on their way to the same destination wedding when they are stuck overnight at an airport the night before I do, and they all have plans to break up the wedding.
For different reasons. I read it over the summer. It's so fun.
Oh, can't wait.
I was laughing so much at the ending. I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is something that happens towards the end that I just didn't see coming.
Was it with the guy with the flowers?
Yeah. That I just didn't see coming, and I was like, "Wait, this is so fun!"
I really like sprinkling that,
and also just the reaction to that also took me by surprise, and I was like, "Oh, okay then."
Yeah, I enjoyed that one because it just had a lot of like real relationships and some toxic people who were just plain toxic.
And that sometimes is really the case.
Because like, you know, when you start hating someone, you're like, oh, like sometimes you'll read a book and you'll hate a character and you're like, oh, but I know you're going to be redeemed, and then it's just going to annoy me. I liked that they stayed bad.
Yeah,
I was able to hate till the end. Yeah.
Don't need a good reason. Sometimes you're just bad.
So yeah, I'll plug The Layover.
Oh, love it.
I'll second the plug.
You've got me.
Honestly, a great plug. And that's it. That's the end of this beautiful episode. We've been Baby Got Books. We are at Baby Got Books Pod on TikTok and Instagram. If you liked this episode, and I'm sure you loved this episode, don't forget to tell a friend, tell a foe, leave a rating, and share with everyone you know. Because we're going to be back next Thursday with even more delightful times. Although how we could top this is impossible to say. And now it's time to try something so scary.
I know how this is going to go.
It's going to go really badly. Our favorite outro is harmonized by. Don't think about it.
We've never done one over Zoom.
Again, trying new things. But I'll start, then Chris will go, and then Jazz can go, and then you just join in and we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Very silly. My hopes. Okay, so for everyone that's listening, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.